has become a big part of the human experience, encompassing productivity, education, and most recently, social life. With this technology, particularly social media, becoming so prevalent, information about our lives is much more accessible than it used to be. This has become a particular problem in the workforce, especially in the hiring process of new employees. When applying for jobs, candidates formerly only had to focus on making their resume the most competitive resume possible. Now, employees need not only have competitive resumes, but also need to be cautious of the content on their online social networking profiles. Corporations are increasingly adopting the surveillance of social media as a legitimate hiring practice, and as such, many candidates are being overlooked because of the amount of personal information they are putting on their social networking sites. Their profiles are being assessed for professionalism corresponding with the job description, without any knowledge that the employers are looking at their personal information online. Similarly, the use of social media is becoming more prevalent during the recruiting process for college sports. Here we have Jesse Moore, the assistant coach of the men's and women's swimming team, to learn more about how coaches are using social media for recruiting.
Do you use social media in the recruiting process to get a better idea of your recruits?
I use social media a lot in the recruiting process, a lot.
How do you use it?
The only two media that I really use are Facebook and Twitter. So I use it to get a better idea of what the recruits are actually like. I think it's one thing when you have a conversation with somebody, I think you can get a sense of who they are as a person, but at the same time I think some people can fool you and some of their actions might be more indicative of their commitment level to the sport. So I use them to look at anything kind of that they wouldn't present in a professional setting to us.
Okay. And how do you use it to like influence any decisions that you make?
Well, I'm gonna look when I look at things. If I'm on Facebook, for example, I'll look for pictures that you're tagged in, and I'm gonna look to see if you're holding that red Solo cup, and I'm looking to see. I'm just looking to see your behavior. I'm not looking for angels because at the same time I want people who are going to come in, who are going to be confident, and who are going to, I swear on camera, I know it's a bad word, I can't say the F word, who are going to come in with a purpose and really pack a punch with their sport. And I think that involves a little bit of, I don't want to say misbehaving or anything, but a little bit of an attitude. Sort of a side of their personality that I think is a little more indicative of somebody who's really competitive.
Do you continue to look at your current swimmers' social media sites?
Not at all. I do not, our staff doesn't, but the university does. So, not that they're monitoring them on a regular basis or anything, but we'll get alerted if something inappropriate is posted. And if our team is on Twitter, for example, our sports info office will tell us, this person posted something really stupid. Would you please ask them to remove it? And we'll do that. And we have done that. Or they'll request, sports info will request that athlete to make their profile private, but even that's not a sure block of everything. So they just ask us to kind of remind them to be a little more mindful of things.
Okay, so you encourage them to be conscious of their social media.
Mm-hmm. And to keep everything private, even though that's not a solid, foolproof method.
Okay. Are those the only consequences if current members of the team aren't conscious or do post things?
We've never really had to, past asking someone just to remove a post or something, we've never really had consequences because it's never really been anything that's that big of a deal that, if there's something that's insane on there, one, they're stupid for posting it in general, and two, if they're committing something really, an action that's just really insane, then obviously we wouldn't want them in our program, representing our program, but that's never really happened.
So you've never let anyone go from the team for posting anything?
Not since I've been here, but I don't think Dan and Dawn ever have either.
Do you use social media, and if you do, how careful do you have to be?
I use social media, and I have to be careful. I don't really put myself in situations where there could even be a picture taken of me and posted that would be inappropriate in any way. pose with drinks in my hand. I don't pose with, I wouldn't, well, I'm 28, so I don't use solo cups. Yeah, I mean, my Twitter is strictly for professional use. It's not a personal use thing. I won't even respond to a friend who follows me and tweets at me, you know, like, can't wait to see you this weekend. I won't respond to that. It's strictly professional use. My Facebook is my more personal use of social media, and I don't post anything. I use that more or less just to kind of see what everybody in my social network is up to. But I almost never post unless it's something exciting about our swim team or something, or congratulations to a friend for getting married or something like that, random. Or I was walking down the street and this huge tank drove by. I took a picture of it. I don't know, something like that's like, I remember that, so.
Have there ever been any consequences in the recruiting process as far as social media and what you've seen potential recruits do?
100% yes. Some of the recruits are a little smarter and they keep their profiles private unless you're friends with them. So I can't really see anything past their profile picture. You know, I know, like, looking at some people's profile pictures, you can kind of tell like what their political beliefs are and things like that. It's pretty cool to kind of see that part of them because that's not something that comes up in everyday conversation or just something else that's related to them. But if their profiles are private, all of our swimmers are usually friends with our recruits on Facebook, especially after their official visits. So I remember last year I asked one of our seniors to log on to her Facebook on my computer and pull up this person's profile because I couldn't view it. And I questioned this person's integrity and saw their profile and knew that I didn't want to continue the recruiting process with them, so I stopped recruiting them. And you know, it's, if you swim, you shouldn't be smoking. You know, like, I don't want to see pictures of that. And if you're in high school and all of your pictures are of you at parties and having a good time and you're smoking and you look crazy, it's probably not the right environment for like a team that I'm recruiting for. That's sort of something that we monitor, but I've stopped recruiting people and I will get into their social media in whichever way I need to. So, just like a job interview. They all go on to it.
I liked this class because it taught us a lot about the lack of privacy on the internet and how people need to be careful of how they portray themselves online. I also really enjoyed learning about aspects of the internet that I'd never even heard of before, like bitcoins and crowdsourcing and things like that. It was also interesting to think about all the technology that surrounds us now that wasn't here even just a few years ago, and to think about all of the future technology and how different our lives will be then.
I thought this course was really interesting in how it taught us to learn about social media and the various aspects of philosophy and public policy and how it sort of affects, like how social media affects living in the 21st century and various aspects of our life like privacy and how we need to be cautious and careful about what we put out there because the idea of privacy is kind of being diminished in how accessible information is due to the various aspects of information technology and all those ideas.
All in all, I think this class has been a pretty good experience. It's been pretty unique. The topic of information and like social networks and stuff like that is kind of like lies at the intersection of like a lot of fields. I guess that's why it's cross-listed in so many fields. And I don't know, it was just really easy to discuss because it's really relevant to our everyday lives, especially like people in college. And yeah, I think that like the discussion itself was probably my favorite part overall.